Ever been to a boarding school that was actually a cult? I have. They called it the Family Foundation School, but trust me, it was less family and more foundation for lifelong psychosis. Here's something they definitely didn't put in the brochure. My name's Case, and this is my story. I knew something was wrong with this place within a few minutes after arriving. You know that feeling you get in your gut when something is way off? Yeah, I had that feeling. So let me set the scene for you. It was May 31st, 1997, possibly the worst day of my life. I'd just been released from a psych ward for threatening to harm myself after threatening the assistant principal and getting expelled from public school. The psych ward was cake. Sure, the people in there are crazy, but then again, so was I. The kids in the psych ward behaved exactly like you'd expect kids in a psych ward to behave. They were violent, loud, pathological liars who couldn't keep their heads straight. I figured I was going to rehab for 30 to 90 days after I got released, but my parents didn't really tell me anything, and I wasn't allowed to talk to them while I was in the psych ward. My dad showed up with my neighbors. I had a cigarette in the parking lot, and then we hit the road. I asked him where I was going, and he said, somewhere else, and left it at that. We were driving for hours, and I wasn't thrilled about missing my summer to go to rehab, but I figured I'd be at home for at least a week before my junior year began. We arrived to the family school after 4.5 hours of driving. There were no signs or anything to indicate that I was at a school. We got out of the car. I lit up a Marlboro Red and took a couple puffs before being told to put it out. I figured, I'd just have one later. I was dying for a cigarette the entire time I was in the psych ward. There was no smoking in the psych ward. We walked up to the cream colored building and we entered. The place smelled like a combination of mildew and feet. It was kind of grimy in the hallways, and my dad walked to the left to sign some papers, and my neighbors walked me down the hallway into a room with two other kids. They were there waiting for me. They already knew my names, and they introduced themselves. Remember that gut feeling I was talking about earlier? Yeah, it kicked in after observing how these kids were dressed. See, I was wearing Jenkos and a graphic t-shirt. They were wearing dress pants with tucked in polo shirts. Not uniforms, but certainly not the style you'd see in 1997. They were both surprisingly upbeat for kids being held in a place against their own will. Hell, I would have ran away from the psych ward if the doors weren't magnetically locked. Things really took a turn when one of them started talking to me. He immediately started in on the rules. Hey, bro, your shirt's got to be tucked in. Those pants are way too big. You're going to have to change them. On second thought, that shirt's got a negative band on it. That's negative music. You can't wear a Nirvana shirt. That shirt's got to go. Chill the fuck out, man. I'm going to have a cigarette. There's no smoking. Smoking is not allowed, not for the staff or the students. Dude, what the fuck is your problem? Settle down, man. I'm serious. You're really starting to piss me off. Now, look, I'm going to have a cigarette and then I'll chuck the pack. Deal? Fuck, man. I'm only going to be here for 30 days. I don't know what your problem is, but let me have a smoke and then I'll calm down. All right? Hey, man, there's no cussing. 30 days? Ha, nah, bro, it's going to be longer than that. Fine. 60, maybe 90 days. Either way, I'm having that cigarette right now. Well, now's as good a time as any to tell him. Your dad's in there signing papers right now. Your parents have to agree to a minimum stay of 18 months. They're signing you over as we speak. 18 months is the minimum stay. The kid was smiling as he was telling me this, smiling maniacally. I completely forgot about the cigarette. This was 20 minutes into day one. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. Stay tuned for part two of the Family School series.